Hey guys, it's Lockie here from Coast Watch Football, and in this video we're going to break down all of the ins and outs across the A-League from the January transfer window. So we're going to go through in alphabetical order, of course starting off with Adelaide United, who have actually been one of the busiest clubs in this transfer window. Some of their major players that they have brought in: Lockie Barr, the defender; Hiroshi Ibusuki, the Japanese striker, already has 2 goals so far this season. Nathan Kostandopoulos has returned to the first team, and they've also brought in Zach Clough from England, as well as Lockie Brook, who returns on loan from English side Brentford. And of course, when you think of the departures for Adelaide United, the 2 big names, Stefan Mork, Ben Halloran, one of those, Ben Halloran securing his move pretty early on. He's off to FC Seoul. Stefan Mork, the captain, his move has basically been confirmed for at least a month now. They're just waiting to get the final clearance over the line so that he can leave and move overseas as well. So at the time of recording this video, Stefan Mork is still officially an Adelaide United player, but we expect him to move real soon. Overall, really impressive work for Adelaide United. Of course, one of the big injuries recently was Cassini Yangi, the striker. He's been ruled out with a long-term injury. Bringing in a striker like Ibusuki, who has good experience in Japan, I think was the right move for Adelaide United. We've seen the way Ibusuki plays. He's tall, he's strong, he holds up the ball and brings teammates like Craig Goodwin, like Lockie Brook into the play. And speaking of Lockie Brook, I think that's a fantastic signing. He only made a handful of appearances for Adelaide United when he was there a couple of years ago. And it makes sense for him to come back, just get his career back on track. Wasn't really getting a look in at the first team in Brentford, who are of course playing the Premier League at the moment. And Zach Clough as well. Looks like he's pretty much just been brought in to replace the departing Stefan Mork. It makes sense. He's played at some decent clubs in England, mostly in those lower divisions in League One, in the Championship as well, with Nottingham Forest. So he looks like to be a decent replacement for Stefan Mork. It'll be interesting to see how he goes in the A-League though. Next up, Brisbane Roar, that let goalkeeper Aidan Munford join NPL side Lions FC. But the 2 players that they have brought in are really quite fascinating signings. Connor Chapman, I think, is a great signing for Brisbane Roar, especially considering Tom Aldred has completely missed the first few months of the season, and who knows when he'll come back. But they needed another defender, especially after losing Macaulay Gillespie during pre-season, just to solidify things at the back there. They lost Anton Mlinaric, the defender who was on loan from Sydney FC. He's back at the Sky Blues, so they certainly needed to bring someone in. And Connor Chapman as well. He's versatile, can play as a central defender or as a defensive midfielder. And the other signing is fascinating. Rio Wada, he's 26 years of age, he's Japanese. He's only made a total of 32 first-team appearances, scoring 8 goals in that run. But it is a fascinating signing. Of course, when we think of the last Japanese player to be playing at Brisbane Roar, you think of Riku Danzaki, and he was fantastic. He brought a real spark to the Brisbane Roar attack last season. Will Rio Wada be that same player? Time will tell. My team, Central Coast Mariners, of course, made the high-profile signing of bringing in striker Jason Cummings from Dundee FC. A big signing, a signing which had been rumoured for the weeks leading up to it. And look, for me, initially, I made my thoughts clear when it happened that I was, obviously excited about a striker like Cummings with his pedigree coming to the Central Coast, but as well looking at some of the other areas across the squad of the Central Coast Mariners which maybe needed strengthening more, specifically in the centre of defence, specifically as well in the centre of midfield. Maybe could have those positions been strengthened first. But look, I'm not complaining. Jason Cummings has arrived in Australia, already picked up 2 goals in the A-League men's campaign. MACARTHUR FC also strengthened their squad over this transfer window, bringing in 2 decent signings. First of all, Adrian Mariappa, who arrived just before the transfer window, a bit out of the blue. A striker who has really good experience over in England. He's played with Watford, Crystal Palace, and has slotted into the A-League really well. Already has picked up a couple of goals to the central defender. And Apostolos Giannou, of course, the Australian striker who has spent most of his career playing in Greece. It'll be interesting to see whether he can bag goals in the A-League. He hasn't got one yet so far for MACARTHUR FC in the few appearances that he has made up to this point. But look, especially with Tommy Juric, who's been struggling to get minutes on the park for MACARTHUR due to injury, I think it makes sense to bring in Giannou, who could potentially tear it up at the A-League. A couple major departures from the reigning champions, of course. Nathaniel Atkinson securing his move to Hearts. That's a great move from a Socceroos point of view, as is Connor Metcalf's recently announced move, which is coming at the end of the season to German side St. Pauli. And Carl Jenkinson as well, another one of these experienced English footballers who have come to the A-League, of course, playing most notably with Arsenal, with West Ham as well in the Premier League, has slotted in nicely so far to the A-League. The only movement that Melbourne Victory made this transfer window was bringing in Luca Pruscio, which I thought was quite a fascinating signing. A player who spent the start of the season at Wellington Phoenix, only got a couple minutes in the FFA Cup, didn't really get any game time at all in the A-League men's competition. And it'll be interesting to see how Luca Pruscio fits into Tony Popovic's side. They're already, the depth in that Melbourne Victory squad is already pretty good as it is. So it's going to be, I imagine, it's going to be difficult for Luca Prusho to find minutes in this victory squad. But still, a decent signing. Luca Prusho did show good signs when he played previously at Newcastle Jets, and under Tony Popovich could become a really good player. The Newcastle Jets, they've let squad players Noah James and Costa Petratos leave the club, but brought back Taylor Regan. Again, this is the transfer window of unexpected moves. And Taylor Regan, to be honest, I didn't expect to see him playing in the A-League. Of course, spent time with Newcastle Jets and as well Adelaide United just a few years ago. Returns to the A-League, and we've already seen him get some minutes. He actually had a really good game in Newcastle's 2-1 win away to Melbourne victory. Perth Glory have struggled this season, more so off the field than on the field. I really feel for Glory, the club, the staff, the players, and the fans as well. The club have just had the worst time in these opening few months of the A-League season with having to move from city to city. Hopefully they can get back home soon, but they've brought some reinforcements into their squad in this transfer window. Goalkeeper Nicholas Soros, central defender Darko Stanovic, and Nick Fitzgerald has arrived at Perth Glory as well. Of course, the former Central Coast Mariners, Melbourne City and Newcastle Jets swinger to strengthen that A-League squad. Of course, he has a ton of A-League experience. But again, one of those players that I personally didn't expect to see playing in the A-League once again. Sydney FC have parted ways with left back Joel King. A good move for Joel King in his career to play overseas in Europe. But the two major signings that they brought in are really impressive. Mustafa Ramini, a Socceroo, returning to the A-League after playing for the Central Coast Mariners almost 10 years ago. And Luciano Narsing, a signing that has really impressed me. He has Premier League experience, played over 200 games in the Dutch top flight as well. He's just going to be another weapon for that Sydney FC attack this season. Now let's talk about Wellington Phoenix, a team who during preseason I criticised their squad a little bit. The lack of quality recruitment from the squad, especially when they lost Tom Ahmed, Ulysses De Villa, Cam Devlin, these key players who performed so well from the last year. But I'll tell you what, the two players that they have brought in this transfer window have looked really good so far. Specifically, Gael Sandoval, another Mexican attacking player. Fantastic. Already has a few goals in the A-League. A fantastic strike recently against Brisbane Roar as well. And Scott Wooten, who has experience again in the lower divisions of England, looks like a pretty solid, calm, composed central defender. The only movement from Western Sydney Wanderers, who are struggling at the moment in the A-League, it has to be said, they have reinforced their defence by signing Thomas Lafamasella as an injury replacement for captain Reece Williams, who of course has been ruled out for the remainder of the season, which was a massive blow for the Western Sydney Wanderers. They already have their problems on and off the field, and the injury to Williams just a month ago was a big shock to Wanderers fans. Masella, we've seen him play for Perth Glory a couple of years ago. A solid A-League defender, very tall, very strong, should be able to play the part for Michael Dan's side in the second half of this A-League men's season. And funnily enough, Western United, the top team in the competition, no movement from them in this transfer window. So what do you make of your club's work in the transfer window this season? Of course, some teams busier than others, some teams needing to recruit more than others as well. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you have enjoyed this video, make sure you hit like on the video, it helps me out a lot. And if you want to stay up to date to all of the A-League men's content dropping here at Coast Watch Football, make sure you hit subscribe. My name's Lockie, this is Coast Watch Football, and I'll see you guys in the next one.